Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Wrestling for the Weekend, September 30th, 2023. We're going to talk about WrestleDream and No Way Out, big pay-per-view weekend for NXT and WWE. Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, but No Mercy, you mean, not No Way Out.
Why did I write No Way Out?
That's the
I
other.
get those two
That's the
pay-per-views
other
mixed up all the time,
classic,
and
WB. It's like Ruthless Aggression era pay-per-views, basically.
yeah, you know what? It's funny because I actually made the same mistake earlier when I looked up the card on Google, and I totally put it in the title there. So I'll change that after the thread, after the podcast. That's really funny. But yeah, it's No Mercy, NXT, wow. No Mercy, and we're gonna start with that, I think, right?
Yeah. It was actually just announced not too long ago by Shawn Michaels himself that the women's title match is going to be the main event too. So we could start with that one.
Yeah. Let's start with that because I think that it kind of ties into a little bit of some of the news this week as well regarding some other female talent. I think there's a fair amount of, things that may or may not happen at this show. So yeah, let's start with the main event because that's a great.
And it ties into both shows too because we'll get to it later with WrestleDream. But the reason certain matches may or may not be main eventing seem to be important.
That's correct. That's right. They did announce last night that a certain match is headlining WrestleDream as well. But we'll get to that after.
Yeah, but that's kind of interesting. I just realized that. But before we do get to that match too, I just want to say overall, I do think both shows look outstanding on paper. Like this looks like to be one of the best NXT PLEs in a long time. They've had good ones this year, I thought, but this one just looks really good, I would say, especially the top level matches. So
I agree, yeah.
And we'll start with obviously Becky Lynch, who is now the NXT Women's Champion, is defending against Tiffany Stratton in an Extreme Rules match.
Oh yeah, okay. It is an Extreme Rules match. I hadn't realized. So that's just WWE's like no rules match kind of thing, right?
Yes, I do believe by technicality rules, which they could obviously change at any point, like they do, but you have to still pin in the ring.
Pin in the ring, yes. That's what I was getting to, anyways. That's always what I want to make sure.
It's not false count anywhere. That is separate. They do have both.
Okay, yeah, it's just a hardcore match, basically.
Yeah.
Good. That should be really good. They've done a pretty good job at building this matchup as well, I'd say.
The TV match was really good when Becky won the title.
And, it was.
I think the stipulation might not make this one necessarily better, but it's good that it'll at least be different. Because, Tiffany's so young. It's like she can't just go out and have like a million different great matches. Like,
of course.
Not just repeat the TV match, but adding the stipulation makes it where they can just do different stuff. So
yeah, it means it could probably do some table spots and stuff like that. It also means it can slow down a little bit. Yeah, please.
Because it did not in their first.
So they'll probably try to remake that spot too.
Yeah.
They also means it could probably make the match a little bit longer to stretch it out with some outside stuff, which is fine. Especially if it's going to main event, you should get like a good 15-20 minutes at least. Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would not be opposed to this going like the full 3 hours because sometimes the NXT ones would be a little shorter, kind of like 2.5-ish.
Yeah, they've got enough matches on here too to go further. Does it start 7 or 8 usually?
8, and then there's actually a pre-show match too, and that's either a half hour or a full hour before.
Okay.
NXT. I think NXT is usually only a half, but who knows?
It'll be interesting to see if it goes to 11 because you're right. NXT pay-per-views tend to end fairly early, so. Hopefully it gets time. We'll go through the rest of the card and see what might get shortened up as well to get to that 2:30 or 3 hour mark. It's a fairly big card from what I saw.
Yeah, more matches than usual. I think normally you only have 5. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So an extra one basically.
Okay, so we'll start with who you think is going to win, and then we can kind of get into the extracurriculars as well. I have a list here. We'll revisit it next week to see who.
Okay.
Just for fun, just to see what. Yeah, unofficial predictions. Who do you think is going to win this one and why?
I think Becky's winning. I just do not. I don't see them cutting short this NXT run this early. It seems almost pointless. Dolph Ziggler had the title longer than this when he won the belt.
Yeah.
Even if Tiffany is the one that ends up beating her still, which I don't think she will at this point because they're doing the rematch so quick.
Yeah.
But still, I think if she is, have her lose again and do another match later after Becky beats some more people. But we'll get to it later. Who do you think's winning first?
I'm actually on the same page as you. I've had Becky winning this match for a while. And then on top of that, I know it's kind of a bit cheesy, but like the fact that they kind of already previewed Becky versus somebody else on Raw next week. And I know they said it's the winner of the match, but like, come on. This match, we already know that like this match was supposed to happen between Becky and what's her name again? Sorry. Tegan Knox. Thank you. So because of that, on top of that, that only reinforced my thoughts that Becky is absolutely going over here. I think that Becky's going to lose that belt on a actual WWE PLE, not an NXT one, because I think it's big enough for them to put it on there.
It could be TV too, but I do think
it'll be it could be a special Raw, like it could be like it could be a few things.
Like a Raw main event when they really want to pop a rating.
When they want to pop a rating, sure, yeah. If they've got like a bad week or something against football, they want to try to, or maybe the week right after football is on break or something. But anyways, I do think Becky's winning. I don't think this is going to hurt Tiffany at all. I don't think Tiffany has had much struggles in NXT yet, so I think this is a good way to kind of present her with some like of those like patented WWE hurdles that she has to get over. I don't think that's going to hurt her at all, and I think if anything, it's going to kind of make her more over in the long run, kind of exposing her more times. She doesn't need to beat Becky right away, I don't think, and either. I really don't.
So far she's only benefited, I'd say, from the Becky feud. Like,
exactly. And I mean, like, she could go for like some different stuff in NXT, or she could even just get called up and like be done with NXT very shortly, and that wouldn't surprise me either. I just don't think there's that much left for her to do down there because it kind of pushed her really quickly.
And they only have like the one title, really, so. I
mean, they could always try her as a baby.
What else can you do?
They could try her as a baby face, kind of like the reverse of what they did with Braun.
What they did with I was gonna say with Braun is, and it makes sense. Like logistically, you want to see if they can do both, like dispositions, basically.
See what works best
into the main roster, and then decide. Okay, well, which one do we want to use them as on the main roster after you see how well they do at both? It makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other stuff is, they signed Jade Cargill this week, and I am fairly certain she's at least going to be in the crowd tonight. I would expect her to be.
Yeah, she wasn't Tuesday. I actually thought she was Tuesday. She was there that day. So that even kind of surprised me. I thought she'd just be in the crowd. I didn't expect anything else. But I thought they'd show her, just because that was the first day. You knew she was there, but they didn't. So.
But I think they ran a package for her yesterday on SmackDown.
They did, and Michael Cole mentioned, hyped her up real big, and then they showed some stuff. Yeah.
So who knows? She might completely skip NXT. I think because
she might just be on SmackDown.
Straight up.
If they do it on Raw too, then that would.
We'll know more on Monday. So they did a good job at not only doing it on SmackDown before they pay-per-view to kind of keep us guessing.
Jade also said that it's already been decided what show she'll be on.
Right.
She's just not telling you, obviously.
Because I mean, like, she could be showing up at NXT, the pay-per-view, just to, confront Becky afterwards, and then they have the match, on the main roster.
That's kind of what I expect. That's kind of my leading theory.
Yeah,
you already said it. Now I'm not gonna be disappointed if she doesn't show up at all or whatever. That's fine, but I do. That's kind of what I envision them doing. I think that's a good way to bring her in first.
Yeah, I think so too.
Still, like I said, to get the best of both worlds, you still kind of get a little NXT, but she's clearly main roster star already.
And
stuff's going to mostly happen on the main roster.
And she can beat Becky or she can lose to Becky. It doesn't really matter on the main roster. I don't think. But losing to Becky doesn't. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's fine. But I can also see Becky just, doing the job because that's kind of traditionally what she's been used for a lot lately, and then eventually win the feud. It's hard to tell what she's going to do because I know get a bit more of the WrestleMania prediction kind of stuff, but they're kind of hinting that it's going to be Becky against Rhea, right, for WrestleMania. That's kind of seems to be what they're going with.
On screen, I wouldn't say there's too many hints, but it almost just feels that way. The way they've been seemingly purposely kept apart.
Yeah.
While being the top two women on Raw, clearly.
That makes sense too.
They're waiting,
So yeah, It could go that way, and then that might make things a bit different for Jade. Maybe she'll, like you said, might just go straight up to SmackDown and just do her thing there and skip Becky Altig. It's Io on SmackDown as a champ.
She's defending at Fastlane against Asuka and Charlotte. Charlotte could easily win. Jade could run her. That's
if Charlotte wins, we know what's going down. Yeah. Oh my god. I mean,
it is all three.
I would not be shocked if Io loses regardless on that pay-per-view, just because I don't have much faith in her title reign, unfortunately. I just don't.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about some of that stuff later or some other time, because we got a lot of other matches to go through.
Next Saturday, so we can preview that.
Okay, so it's not too bad
right now. So
fair enough. Okay, so it's not too bad. It's not too far away then. I didn't realize it was next week already. My goodness, October is going to be very busy.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next on the docket?
I would say what's basically the second main event for to annoy everyone that really hates those terms is Carmelo Hayes versus Ilya Dragunov.
Okay, this is interesting.
The men's championship. Yeah.
So
actually, this is very unpredictable to me.
Yeah, I haven't followed the story much, but I know that Dragunov has already lost a lot of those big matches, so I could kind of totally see him winning that now, because it kind of if he's going to win, it kind of has to be now.
That's why I don't think he can get any more chances. Like, if he doesn't win, he's probably just not going to win.
Yeah.
He might just go to the main roster if he loses here or something.
Yeah, I agree with that.
See that. But yeah, it's like they're laying so much like on the table that just points towards him winning. And it actually looks to me that Carmelo might be going heel.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we'll get to the match later, but I feel like Trick Williams is too over to turn heel.
Interesting.
So if you're going to do a turn, it has to be Carmelo.
See, that's hilarious, because when Carmelo won the belt in the fashion that he did, you would think the opposite would have happened.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting that it worked out that way.
The way he defended against Ilya the first time, Trick accidentally helped him retain. Like, straight up accident. They never really played it up like it wasn't anything other than that. Carmelo was just kind of annoyed it happened because he didn't realize it in the moment. But it was, definitely an accident. Like, Dragunov just did a crazy dive, and Trick happened to already be holding the belt, and Dragunov hit his head on the belt.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't planned. But there's callbacks to that, though, they could do. Like, maybe that ends up costing Carmelo somehow or something, or maybe Trick loses his match that way. There's a lot they could do with that, the Trick Carmelo aspect of it. And I think a lot of the scenarios in that angle point to Dragunov winning, but
yeah,
I do have the betting odds pulled up, and Carmelo is actually still favored, but only slightly.
Only slightly. Okay.
That's yeah.
Was Carmelo? Did Carmelo start off as a heel?
Yeah, he was pretty much
a cocky heel
until he started challenging like Braun and stuff, because the crowd just kind of naturally turning babyface though, because they love cheering for him. And by the time he challenged Braun, they were turning against Braun, even though he was still face. So yeah, both of those are more natural turns, I would say.
Right.
Braun really bought in. So, but Carmelo, I would say, never really acted super babyface either. He just kind of he is a little bit more
popular.
Humble. Yeah, like in his like his feud with like Wesley and stuff, that was like more built on respect. He wasn't being too much of a dick.
Right. Okay.
But he still kind of was at times.
Yeah, I mean, he's a cocky guy, right? Regardless, very, very confident guy.
And he was just kind of like earlier on Tuesday on NXT, Trick won his match and was so hype. He was going to pay-per-view, getting the title shot. And Carmelo was just like, oh, yeah, that's great. Good for you, man. We got this, But he was on his phone, texting the whole time. So they kind of just laid some seeds down.
At the very least, there's going to be a breakup between him and Trick Williams. I could see Trick Williams.
People have been expecting it forever. And I never saw, I'm like, I don't see it. And now I'm like, okay, I think they're pushing for it.
They're finally pushing for it. Okay. I think I might. Man, I'm having a hard time choosing here. Obviously, Melo's the safe bet, but I'm gonna choose with my heart on this one. I'm gonna go with Dragunov because I really want him to hold that belt before he moves up to the roster. Yeah. I really want him to win.
I think in my official predictions, on the site, I picked Carmelo, but for this, I want to go Ilya too.
All right.
After I made my belief, after I made my picks, like I just started believing more. But I'm not gonna go edit them. I'm gonna
Yeah. They don't have to be the same as the pick. Like these, mine are probably not going to be the same picks as my like
sometimes
professional picks.
Toss ups anyway, and I kind of just randomly picked them in the first.
Yeah, for sure.
I will say there's a few of those on this card, and that one's pretty close to being a toss up for me too. So this
looks like it could be match of the night as well. I mean, I'm always saying that with Dragunov because he's an incredible performer. Carmelo is just is quite good as well. So
we'll move on to, since you think that might be match of the night, to what I think could actually be. The only issue is the rules might hold it back. Is Noam Dar defending the Heritage Cup against Butch, because they're both great. Like obviously, Butch
they are
killing it since he came to NXT for this basically like G1 style round robin tournament. But these rules are just weird. I've never been a huge fan. There's been some really good matches come out of them, but I feel like a lot more have been held back because of them.
What are the rules?
So basically it's old school British round rules. I think I asked Sky one time, and they're very, very close to the original ones. They aren't as strict about like the types of moves you can do. It's more the rounds are basically the same. So it's the rounds, it's I believe 6 3-minute rounds. So you only wrestle for 3 minutes at a time.
That's weird.
And on TV, it's way worse too because they time the commercial breaks, all kinds of fucked up like with it. So on pay-per-view, they're not as bad. On NXT UK, they weren't as bad because the commercial breaks.
It was pre-recorded, yeah. To work around it.
And so you got rounds, you got cornermen, which that's why it's good for like comedy characters like Dar too, is because you have like antics with like the cornermen and stuff. So it has
they can mess around,
like that. And and then it's on top of the rounds, it's 2 out of 3 falls. So as soon as you get a fall, though, the round ends, and you would then take your break and go to the next round. So technically, a round can end in 3 seconds, and you would take your break and go to the next one. And so I've seen them. They've actually, because they do so many, they've actually done them where it'll be 2 straight falls. It's not like it all goes to, the third fall. A lot of times too, though, they will go all 6 rounds without anyone getting a third fall. So then it's just like sudden death, no time limit.
Okay.
That happens fairly often, so good chance it happens here too. And then those are usually the best ones. But at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, if everyone's going to go like that, what's the point of having the round?
Just do it 2 out of 3 falls. Yeah. Interesting.
But that's that. Yeah.
I got Butch in this personally, but I see a lot of people pick. I've seen a lot of people pick Noam. I'm like, I don't know. Could Butch really afford this loss?
Well, the only thing is, like, I can't see him losing. He's been like crazy dominant during the tournament. And so it's just be weird. And they're definitely treating him like a main roster talent.
Indeed.
Like the most respect I feel like I've ever seen the man treated with in WWE is how he's been treated in his NXT run.
Right.
Because it's very much a main roster guy coming down is how this feels. And but him with that trophy would be weird. It wouldn't be like Dom with the North American title. Like there'd be no benefit to him having it. So I don't think he should win.
That's fair. I mean, the only thing I could say is it would be really good for him to have that and then feud with, redo the old feud with
Bate.
With Bate, over that
and they
trophy.
Could set that up because he's going to be his cornerman. They could set that up. That'd be really cool. Bates held the trophy a couple times. He's really good with the rounds matches. Like he does them.
I could see that, especially with his stamina.
That. Yeah, but it's just weird. Like literally, like an equivalent would be like Adam Cole winning the Ring of Honor Pure title. Like,
that'd be weird.
That's so much different than him randomly winning the tag titles, which it's weird. He's holding an ROH title, but now he has to wrestle with these fucked up rules. I
get what you're saying.
That would be Butch winning this.
It benefits a comedy character, and also like I'm not sure what you would do with Noam Dar afterwards if he loses. I guess you could call him up because like that act is main roster already.
Great. It'd be great. I think he's perceived better on NXT. I think. I don't know. I just think it'd be one of those things where I would like it just as much on the main roster, but it wouldn't like hit with everyone like more.
Right. Yeah. Smaller guy
I'd be
too.
A little concerned about that, but the act is so funny. Like, I think
it's perfect for NXT.
I think it'd be just great just to fill time on Raw, but it's so perfect for NXT. He's so funny. Like, and the rest are definitely not ready for the main roster either, though. If they want to do the whole act, you get away with like Oro Mensah, I think would be fine. But I don't think the two girls are at all. Like Lash Legend promo wise, yeah, she's just not going to wrestle at all. And the other girl's like really new. I haven't seen enough matches, so I don't even know if she would be or not.
Yeah, so it's more him that would be he would be ready for main roster. He's been on there before.
I mean, he's already been on it, and he was ready then. I mean, it's not like he did bad.
Yeah, he was great on 205 Live. Honestly, he was awesome.
So yeah, even the Raw segments they would have and everything. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, he had some funny stuff like him with what was her name?
His best time,
the breakup angle. Oh man, that angle was hilarious.
His best stuff was on NXT UK. He had a partnership with Shaw Samuels, who was a bookie. They would be placing bets, and he would do the talk show, the same talk show he does on NXT, the Supernova Sessions or whatever. But he was just always trying to like take bets, and Shaw would take the bets in. He was always trying to get people's money for it. Everything. They were so funny together.
I wish I would have watched more of that show. I feel like I missed a lot of good stuff on NXT UK.
I really liked UK for the most part. It was such an easy watch too. It was always like an hour. They did the best empty arena shows during the pandemic.
Really?
They were by far the best WWE pandemic product. Yeah. Nice. Once it opened back up. Yeah.
What do we got next, sir?
That's what I was just looking at. So probably the next biggest match on the card after those two main title matches is the North American title, where Dominic is defending against Trick Williams, who we already talked about, who's replacing Mustafa Ali. We have to mention too.
Right.
But I will say, very good replacement. The way they booked the angle, especially.
Okay.
On paper, I was a little sketchy about it because I saw the results before I actually watched. But Trick is so over; it's insane. And
really,
the way if the Carmelo angle plays out like it does, Trick being in he doesn't even have to win. I actually don't think he's going to win. That's my prediction. If you want to go
Me neither.
I do think Dominic's winning, but he can. The crowd's going to be really into it and want him to, and I think that's going to make the match so much better. They need to keep it as simple as possible. It needs to be the most basic match, and it'll be fine because the crowd will carry it.
Right. And how is Trick in the ring? Because I know that Dom's gotten better, and he had a good match recently, but it was with someone that was, S tier in the ring.
Oh yeah, Dragon Lee especially.
Yeah, he's so good, so good. So, and that's not a knock on Dom or anything. I don't want to come off like I don't think Dom is good in the ring. But
Dom is actually really good in the ring too. In general, it's been funny just because he's had a few like botches that like one of them was definitely not even his fault either. It just made the rounds. It's like, oh, look how Dom is.
And I think he wasn't. He felt probably better for the heel. The heel stuff. He wasn't that great of a babyface wrestler yet, mostly because everybody was just gonna compare him to Ray as a babyface, right? It's not fair, but it's what everybody's gonna do. But yeah, and Trick is pretty good in the ring, or
no? He's just a lot better. It's like the level of improvement and the pace of the improvement is like really promising.
Okay,
but he's not like there yet. He can definitely get by. The match he had with Ilya Dragunov was absolutely amazing. I think that just sold Ilya more than a lot of people.
I mean, Ilya's
because they're like, holy fuck,
Ilya's so good.
He had that good of a match with Trick, but like Trick should get some credit too, though, because that was still amazing. Yeah. It was a really, really good match. Like I think Dave even gave it like 4 stars, like, which is kind of insane for NXT TV.
That's a big rating. That's a big rating for those two guys.
I would like if my I don't really do the sorting thing, but I think I would have even went higher. Like it was really good.
Awesome.
And the 4-way, it was 4. I was trying to remember if it was 3 or 4 people in it, but it was 4 after they added Trick. This week on Tuesday was really, really good too. But he was in there with 3, really, really good workers.
Yeah,
so that's,
sure.
That's not Dom. So yeah, they need to keep it really simple, I think. But the crowd will be so into booing Dom and cheering Trick that as long as they keep it simple, it's going to be a very enjoyable match. Like
the crowd.
And they can do fuckery if Dom's gonna win, and if Trick does win, the roof's gonna fucking blow off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would keep it around 10 minutes. I think that would be perfect for that match. It doesn't really need to be much longer than that. Just a little sprint, maybe some chicanery on the outside, like you said, and maybe.
I did hear a theory too, or not really a theory, just more of like a hope that Rhea could like return. She's been off TV since Nia Jax took her out. Hopefully, kayfabe injury. Because I know she was like in Australia with like Buddy. They were doing some shit. Maybe why Buddy's been off TV too.
Just chilling, maybe vacation.
Yeah. But anyway, but they're saying Rhea could potentially this would be like her kind of like return, after her little break, and she helps Dom win. That'd be a good return.
Hold on, isn't Dragon Lee special referee?
Yes, actually, 100% forgot about that.
Me too, until just now. That kind of changes a little bit of the.
Okay. Well, I have more to add to that too, because this is actually weird. It makes predicting harder. So I originally thought, well, Dragon Lee's still involved. He's probably still going to be the one that beats Dom, so Trick's not winning.
Except
Dragon Lee is booked for SmackDown next week already.
Exactly. Yep.
Against Austin Theory.
I saw that too.
He might win. He might beat Austin Theory. He might just be on the main roster. Like Shawn Michaels might be booking this on the fly, like literally minute by minute, because he doesn't know what talent he's gonna have.
And I would agree with you here, especially that we've talked about this before, that like Meltzer said that they've paid Dragon Lee like a very large contract to the point where he was paying too much money for NXT.
Yeah, at least the largest NXT contract in like a long time. Because I don't know like the old structure when they were hiring like guys like Kevin Steen. I still imagine it was not that big for them. But they paid Dragon Lee a lot because I think they had to outbid AEW. Honestly, I think that was the case.
Absolutely, they did.
Because AEW had offers for him too.
Yeah, that was reported. Yeah, and then with that being said, and him being booked, and the way that like Ray's not going to hold that belt forever, and he just beat that other guy, so I could actually 100% see Dragon Lee beating Mysterio.
Yeah. I don't really know. Yeah, it's like I have no idea how that match against Theory is going to go next week. And the funniest part, this is why like doing predictions is so fun. I don't think Shawn Michaels knows, and he's the one making the actual decisions that we're predicting on. I listened to his media call earlier this week. It was pretty short, which is nice. Like 40 minutes and a lot less questions than like a Tony Khan one. So it's like way easier to get through, even though some of the questions were fucking stupid, like the CM Punk one. But I feel like he answered more than he should have. He's like, I probably shouldn't have said some of that stuff.
I mean, I enjoyed reading it. It was funny.
He found out that Ali got fired right before Ali did.
I know.
He had plans for Ali into 2024. Like,
yeah, that was a big thing. I was shocked to read that. Like, so he had no idea.
And he put Ali over huge, like creatively, like which I thought was really interesting. Like, kind of convinced me more. Like, yeah, AEW should probably. Or if AEW doesn't get him, he would absolutely thrive in Impact. And
of course.
Probably have a run like Macklin to be a main eventer. Yeah.
I personally think like AEW will be stupid not to pick him up. That's my take on that. He would be stupid not to pick up Ali. Has pretty much everything you need in a guy, except like I said last week, like he's not the biggest guy, but like that doesn't really matter in AEW as much. He can talk, he can, and creatively in AEW, like if you're a creative guy, you're going to be very successful.
And also, I hear a lot of people say stuff like, "Oh, AEW has a lot of guys like Ali go out and put on good matches." I'm like, but again, you just heard Shawn Michaels put over the long-term creative plans they had together for months in advance because he's that good creatively. Like, I think people are selling that short.
Yeah,
like, all the stuff he's done on Twitter to get himself over.
All the characters he's done.
Nothing. Yeah.
And on top of that, like, it's a bit of like an iffy subject, but like AEW doesn't really have like that a guy like that in that demographic either, and they really could use one, especially that they're really working on expanding their international audience. I mean, yeah, I think he's a slam dunk in my opinion.
Just in general, regardless of demographics, he's like a great babyface role model.
Yeah,
like, he's so like just inspiring with his promos. Remember, he used to do on 205 Live these like he'd film them himself and they just air them on 205.
Yeah, like, his phone promos,
like no edited. Yeah, they were so good.
He's like him and honestly like and Mansoor to a lesser level because he's much younger and much he hasn't been in the business for as long, but both those guys are just very charismatic and like you said, very creative and original and willing to do the extra work. I think sky's the limit for guys like that, and I think you're 100% right. Whether they go to AEW or especially like in Impact, I genuinely think Ali would be a world champion. Straight up. But
we can go back to No Mercy.
Yeah.
He was originally booked though, which is still so crazy to think about. Like it's ridiculous. But it's not even the first time that stuff like that's happened. But yeah,
no, it's not. But it's the first time. It's the first time it's happened in a while.
Mm-hmm. And I remember it was like Drake Maverick, and they actually even let him finish out like the tournament he was booked for. And then they ended up rehiring him. They did a whole angle about that, but he was legitimately fired for couple weeks.
And last time we had a lot of cuts, I think technically, like Triple H wasn't really in charge fully of the main roster yet. So this is really the first time where like, no, they've both been in charge and they've had to make some cuts. And who knows if Triple H even knew like who was getting cut until maybe a little bit before.
More advanced than Sean, at least,
but not much. Probably not much. So.
But we can move on. And No Mercy, I believe it's the last championship match of the night that we haven't talked about yet. It's the tag team title match, which is the family, Tony D and Stacks, defending against the I guess they're the Garzas now. They're not Los
Lotharios
anymore. Yeah, but Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, and the Creed brothers, and then the new team of Out the Mud, OTM, which that is Bronco Nima and Lucien Price.
I do not know who these people are, unfortunately.
They I've watched them back when I was still watching Level Up. They had started, so they've been wrestling on Level Up at least for a while, because I haven't watched in a while, and I did see them start teaming there. Maybe even ran some of their vignettes on Level Up before I remember seeing them in NXT too. Now I think about it, they're solid. Like, they're fine. The gimmick is like really over the top, even for NXT standards, and I do not like Reggie with them, or Scripps as he's still known as. I think that's stupid. If they get called away Scripps from him, he'll be fine, because it's his street name. He's from the hood now. That's literally the gimmick.
Okay. Well, no comment.
He said his people always called him Scripps, even though he debuted as a freaking sommelier. But apparently this is who he's always been. The
sommelier gimmick was over with me.
He mentioned it too. He even has reference. It's not like he's ignoring it. He's like, I'm just doing it for money. This is where I'm really from. And the other two guys are actually good at doing like this stereotypical gimmick, I think. But he is not at all.
Fair to say they're not winning.
But yes, they're I have the betting odds pulled up. They're by far the least favorite team of winning. But they're fine in the ring, and I don't mind them getting the actual spot. Since
you got to have some people
4-way tag matches, and the other three teams obviously I think are really good in the ring at this point. Tony D's improved a lot. He was already really good, like amateur wrestling, doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
Well, he's just gotten really good. I think Stacks has gotten really good. Like just under the radar. You watch them now and you're just like don't even remember like, oh, they were green at one point, because it was just like very gradual. Like they're just really solid now. I would say nothing like spectacular, but you never like think like, oh, that match wasn't that great or anything after any of them. And obviously the Garzas are good, and Creeds have gotten really good.
I mean, it's the Creeds,
they're not even just like green, but like fun to watch anymore. Like now they've just gotten good. Like, I think that's like kind of a testament to the PC, I'd say, with like them and like Tony D and stuff.
Yeah. I would say they're probably second favorite to wins, the Creeds, I would assume.
Actually, the Garzas are which is by far the favorite team to win is the champions.
Which I think is what's going to happen.
Yeah, me too. But the Garzas are actually more favored than the Creeds, which is interesting. I wouldn't hate it. I'd be fine with both the Garzas or the Creeds winning. I'm always fine with the Creeds winning, and they never do. But
it's true, they never do.
A little short of a reign for Tony D. And
I feel like they built them up a lot to win this belt.
I'd question why they're already taking it off, but I wouldn't necessarily hate that the teams,
Yeah. Like it wouldn't be a question of being mad. Yeah. No, I think the family's gonna go. I don't know much about the stories behind this 4-way.
There's no angle.
There's none. Okay, then they're definitely winning.
The Creeds were kind of doing their own stuff. I can't really exactly remember who they were feuding against. They were doing their own stuff. The Garzas has been doing vignettes like about their new characters. They hadn't really done anything.
They just got reintroduced
for the OTM team. They kind of just like debuted. They've had a couple squashes. And they did the whole thing where they paired them with scripts, all that. But it's very new. And then the angle they ran on Tuesday was actually hilarious. The family invited everyone to an Italian restaurant, of course, and they talked it over. And then he announced they would do the 4-way, and like Creeds loved it. They had glasses of milk instead of wine. And they were just chomping down on some pasta. The Garzas were a little more skeptical, but they were eating. They were enjoying it. And then the other guys, they didn't like it at all. But yeah,
they want their one-on-one opportunity to cheat, probably. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I think the family's going to go over. It should be a fun enough match.
Yeah, I expect it to be fairly your basic multi-team match. It probably might open or something and be fine.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
But then, so I believe this is the last match of the main card. Yep, there's one more match on the main card. It's the only non-title match. I'm just now realizing, is Braun Breaker against Baron Corbin, which I think will be fine. I don't know.
Yeah, it should be okay.
I don't imagine it'll be bad, but I'm not like super hype or anything. They had a really long brawl, which was pretty good on TV, I guess. But it was really long. Like, I imagine the match is going to be a lot of that too. If it
I
is,
expect it to be fairly violent at the very least.
Yeah. Imagine if it's another double count out, like the Gable Stevenson match. I would lose my shit if that happened.
Yeah, I think Braun's probably
Corbin
just gonna like
lose.
Braun's gonna just spear him through something, and that'll be that. I think.
Oh yeah. I would love. Oh, honestly, what they should do is have Von Wagner make like a big return, like at the end of this or something.
Yeah, it would be interesting,
cool. And that could actually even result in a non-finish. That would actually be a non-finish. I would make fun of the fact that it was another like Baron Corbin, like not lost when everyone expecting to lose. I would, make jokes about that, but I wouldn't be a terrible non-finish because Von kind of has beef with both of them. Braun, obviously,
more so
kill him. And Baron Corbin just like was laughing at him the whole time, like congratulating Braun and stuff. So obviously he wants to beat his ass too. So.
Yeah, because he's being pretty disrespectful. That makes sense. Yeah. I could see that. I could see that. Yeah.
That'd be a big PLE moment. I've talked myself into expecting this to happen.
So, so the other women's match is on the pre-show then?
Yes.
Okay, that makes more sense.
And Kalani Jordan.
That actually makes that makes sense that it's on the pre-show because when I saw it on the main card, I'm like, that seems a bit out of place.
Too early for Kalani to get a match like that. I think it's pretty big for her on the pre-show, but just being a pre-show, I'm like, that's fair. Like this is a good opportunity for Kalani. She's been kind of impressive, I would say. Very choreographed, like gymnasty, which they have like a decent amount of. They have the Sol Ruka before she got hurt, who looked fairly solid too. They've got the one that lost this week, Danny Palmer's her name, but Kalani looks way better as for kind of that same type of gymnast kind of thing. She looks a lot better, so I'm not surprised they're kind of giving her an opportunity this soon. Blair, who hopefully makes her look really good, but I assume Blair wins. That would be ridiculous if not.
Yeah, I would say I was a bit surprised they put Blair on this card at all.
Well, the thing is, I think this may have been supposed to be Dana Brooke against Blair here.
That makes more sense.
Kalani had this whole angle with Dana. Dana was slowly turning heel and was basically there, like was right there. She was just about to be the heel, and she gets fired.
So it was supposed to be Kalani against Dana Brooke in a pre-show match.
No, I actually think Blair versus Dana maybe. And
Blair versus Dana. Okay.
After maybe Blair or maybe Dana attacks like Kalani after. To solidify the heel turn.
Yeah, because I was surprised they weren't like throwing Thea or something on the pay-per-view, and since they've been kind of like building that up,
more like a slower build,
a slower burn. Yeah,
angle. I won't be surprised. They might have an angle, like a small one on pay-per-view, but I bet they definitely announced like a new match for her because it definitely seems like a plan there. Like, and I do think they see her as like a long-term, like potential draw, even actually.
Yeah. Are they still doing stuff with Roxy? Is that more in the background right now?
She just recently. What did she do? She had something recently, but I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I'm really not sure. I wouldn't be surprised to see her challenge Becky next, though. Becky retained.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Becky didn't mention she wanted to
win like the feud with Blair and stuff. So yeah, I kind of see that.
Maybe just keeping her on ice for now.
The last thing she did was just like she won a match, but it wasn't really like in a feud.
Okay, so
like a short like 1 to 2 week feud with like Kiana James, maybe I want to say.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, they probably just keeping her on ice until Becky's freed up from this current feud. That would make a lot of sense. Yeah. Regardless,
that's No Mercy though.
Yeah, Davenport's going to win that one for sure, though.
Yes. Knockdown, that is my prediction, and also I would say officially Braun is my prediction too. But
that's what I put you down as.
I'm
really
leaning towards a non-finish. So the more I think about it,
I'll put you down as or non.
I wouldn't be as bold as to like officially predict.
Okay, fair enough.
But so that's No Mercy. I think it's actually gonna be good. I'm gonna watch it over Collision tonight. I'll catch Collision where I can just fast forward commercials. Probably tomorrow morning, maybe a little bit after, like later tonight, but after No Mercy. But we'll see on that.
Yeah, I'll probably, what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to watch Collision, and then fortunately they've already told me what the main event is, and that's mostly the match I want to pick up. for myself that I want to watch live at least. So I'm going to definitely tune in for the main event, and hopefully I get to see a bit more of the pay-per-view. And then whatever I don't see, I'll probably check it out either later tonight after the pay-per-view. I'll go back and watch it, or I'll watch it tomorrow morning. Yeah. But it should be really good. I'm actually running it back with you here, especially like you said earlier, the top of the card is very, very strong. I expect the ring quality to be fairly good for this pay-per-view, all the way around. And there's some opportunity for some surprises. So I think there's some decent amount of hype behind here.
Yeah.
And the No Mercy video game package that they did was really cool too.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I normally don't watch those. When I see them tweeted out, I like seeing them when I watch the show live.
Yeah.
But I saw so many people talking about it. I'm like, okay, I got to see what this is.
Yeah, some good nostalgia, man. I loved it. That's how you make stuff feel different. I really liked it.
It's so funny though. So that video game was named after the pay-per-view, which already existed, which is like a B show. They would just use random pay-per-view names for video games a lot. And now it's full circle. It's like the event is now named after the video game.
Right? Yeah, that's kind of funny, actually. Yeah, time's a flat circle when it comes to wrestling, for sure. So let's move on to AEW WrestleDream. Got a lot to cover here. So
it's a ton of matches on this card.
Yeah, they announced a bunch, a few more last night on Rampage.
I bet they might even add one more pre-show match on Collision tonight or something.
I could see it.
There's only 2 right now.
I'm shocked and disappointed they still have not added a second women's match. I think that's a miss.
Insane, yeah.
That's a miss, in my opinion. And that's we'll go through the card. And
I do love the one they have.
Me too.
Get there, but I have a lot of good things to say about that one too. But yeah, it's they're doing so much stuff with the women, so it's crazy that only one match made the card, especially now of all time when they're actually doing more. I feel like
I really wish Saraya was either that Saraya was defending, or if Athena was defending. Yeah. I think Athena should be defending on this.
That'd be fine.
They have 3 women's champions. I don't think there's an excuse to not have 2 women's matches on pay-per-view. There just isn't.
Yeah.
So that's my small rant on women's wrestling. But let's get on the card. I'll pull it up here too. We'll start.
Yeah. Well, we could start with the main event. So
we can start with the main event.
Darby claims is the main event.
That's what they announced yesterday.
On that was the countdown show, I believe, which I didn't actually watch that. I'll probably watch it tomorrow.
I'll watch it tomorrow as well. I haven't had time.
Yeah, but so Darby Allin versus Christian Cage for the TNT Championship is apparently in 2 out of 3 falls.
2 out of 3. That's right. Yeah.
Big stipulation is the main event. But I'll let you talk about that, and I'll be right back.
Yeah. Go for it.
So you can start with that.
So there's a lot to talk about in this match. There's a chat in the YouTube thing. I'll pull up once Chris is back as well. Really awesome that the TNT belt is main eventing. That's the second AEW pay-per-view we're going to get where a secondary singles title is going to close off the show. All Out being the international title. Should be a really, really good match. I'm not actually sure who's winning because there's a few things that might affect the results of this match. One of the things I believe both Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne are both banned from ringside, if I remember correctly. Not 100% sure on that.
Yes, I don't know if that's official, but I do know Darby asked for that. He's leave everyone behind, and I do think Christian agreed, but I haven't seen that on the graphic.
But
there's at least a gentleman's agreement there.
Yes, and from what I remember, it was mostly in regards to Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus specifically.
They were specifically named.
Not Sting.
Darby said, "I'm leaving the kid." Yeah, and he said, "You leave your dinosaur," or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that. And then it actually ends up that Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne are actually going to fight on the pre-show, which is insane. And what an opportunity for Nick Wayne. But we'll get to that after. Mm-hmm. This match is, first of all, the match quality is going to be really awesome. I think a 2 out of 3 falls, Christian is really going to get to shine and slow the pace down a little bit.
And if it really is main event, which I don't necessarily think is the right decision, but that will give them a lot of time, which you need for the 2 out of 3 falls. And I think it will make the match absolutely astounding. It very could actually beat Danielson Sabre for match of the night, which is insane to say.
It really
could
be.
But I would flip-flop that. If Danielson Sabre is the main event, I just think that would actually put it over the top.
Yeah, so I was expecting Danielson to main event. Straight up.
I still halfway am. I feel like Darby botched.
He might have, but then we've got this right. This Brennan said earlier. On the edge of my seat, so we can kind of get into that because there's been some movement on that as of late.
So, I don't know if you saw because I just posted it like a little bit before we started, but Edge was taken out of the SmackDown intro last
That's right. He was taken out of the intro, and earlier in the week, PW Insider reported
Adam Copeland.
PA Insider reported also that he was taken off even the list of he had already been taken off the active list, but he was still on the creative list of some sort of guys that might show up on part-time kind of thing.
Basically the part-time list.
So he's not on that list anymore. On the internal list. Whether you want to believe that or not, it's up to you.
Has anyone checked whether he's still on the official WWE.com roster? I'm sure
I have not.
You probably have heard about that more.
I haven't checked on that. Go for it. Well, but so there's some rumbling that he might show up at WrestleDream. That as a free agent, he's going to sign with AEW. That's something we've talked about before. But the fact that now this match is apparently main evented. Let's go by the fact that it is main eventing.
He is still on the roster, by the way.
He is still on the roster. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That's always behind sometimes, though. Roderick Strong was still on the roster the night he debuted for AEW.
That's correct. So, and I mean, those interns on the websites, people check the websites a lot less out. I think him being out of the intro is much more significant.
So much more reliable. It's so annoying. Like, if you didn't have a reliable website, you're fucked as a wrestling company. Now with social media, you just don't have to. It's really sad because
people don't go on websites anymore. They just go on YouTube and shit, right? So they don't.
You have to go to literally Cage Match or the Dirt Sheets for actual official resources like this stuff half the time.
I know.
On regular websites.
Yeah,
WB is even better than most.
It is. But it's the same with, and I do think the intro is a telling sign, and that's for both companies because when AEW gets rid of someone, like Jade's no longer in the intros either.
Yep.
So. CM Punk's no longer there.
A big one with AEW that I don't know if it's as much of a factor with WWE, because at least I don't see it for them, is their promotional advertising images. They always have Cody was front and center even for ones way after he was left the company, and as soon as he left though they edited all of them.
Yep.
Put other people in front instead of Cody. They did it with Punk. He was always
immediately. Yeah, the only thing the only one that don't change are the trucks, but for obvious reasons, because that shit costs money.
Not digital, WWE trucks are behind too.
Yeah, and that's fine. But I think when you see like you said, on the upfronts or whatever, posters they have digitally or whatever they're presenting on television, that's pretty telling as who's important, who's not, and who's in the company and who's not. So Edge being off,
they update. Every company honestly updates those opening videos when they play them. WWE doesn't, so even AEW doesn't some weeks for whatever reason. Sometimes they just cold open, everything. But when they do play them, it's they're not the same week to week. There's always
they're not.
A small change almost every week. You might go 2 weeks where it is the same, but that's rare. Even Impact and everything,
I've noticed it a lot in AEW.
Always constantly changing, especially Collision changes weekly based on what's booked. I've noticed, which
interesting.
Theorize they would do that the first week because it seemed very much based on what's booked, and they did. It's the first part of it is highlights of basically who's booked tonight, and maybe it might show them hitting each other if they've been already brawled and stuff, and then it's more of a standard Collision talent,
right?
The usual Collision talent. But it always starts with a few clips of what's actually booked with the theme song. It's really cool.
Yeah. So let's get to the result of this match because it's actually kind of difficult to predict because there's a lot of layers.
I don't know. Yeah.
There's a lot of layers.
By far. And it's funny. I'm looking at the betting odds for this too, and it's straight up toss up.
Really? Excellent. That makes things fun. I think
so. Let's analyze it. Well, you go first if you have a legit
I think Christian's going to win.
I have to talk about it.
I think Christian's going to win because he just won the belt, and I think that regardless of the edge stuff, I really do think that this is an opportunity to not have the hometown hero win. And they do that a lot in AEW. So they actually can do the thing where the hometown hero loses, and I think he should. I honestly think he should because it would break that cycle. Darby is invincible at home. He's invincible in the other matches as well, the coffin matches.
I don't think very many people actually want to see Darby win, except for probably a lot of people in Seattle tonight. Honestly.
Yeah, the crowd's gonna want him win.
But no one, I don't think a lot of people just want him to win the TNT title again. I don't think that's what people want.
Yes, so, that's a great point. Yeah. We can get into that too, because I don't think it's necessarily good for him to win that title again. No, because he's stuck there again.
Right? 3?
Yeah.
It's 3, right? Yeah.
He's going to be stuck in that division again, and I genuinely think he's a main eventer. He might main event tomorrow, which goes with my point. Him and OC are main eventers now. And I think it's time for him to move up, even if that doesn't necessarily mean going up against Max one-on-one right away. I think having like a main event, it could be him against Edge as an angle, which would be awesome. I can already imagine Darby selling that spear like a maniac.
He would make Edge's spear look better than it's ever actually looked.
He would probably bounce and fall out, like somehow bounce off the ring and through the second rope and on the outside funny. Or something.
The only person that has like a worse spear than Edge might be Christian, though. So let's see how he sells Christian's spear.
Christian's spear is it's very huggy.
He only started doing it when Edge retired as like a tribute, so everyone tolerated it then. But now they're both unretired. Like,
yeah, please don't.
You don't got to do it anymore, bro.
That spear is not good. Like I don't really mind Edge's spear, but it's like not the best.
It's still kind of hype, but it just doesn't look impactful at all. So it's like whatever.
I think
I feel like spears need to be done by big people. Like I don't really care for Ricky Starks doing his, even though he hits with a lot of impact.
I love his because I think it hits hard. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's better with a guy with big shoulders as well.
Yeah,
that's kind of like the point of that move.
Like, but yeah, so I really want Christian to win.
Me too.
Trying to actually formulate my prediction, but the hometown thing gets me because especially if it's a main event, like if you don't have Darby winning, I think Edge has to debut. Even if he does turn heel, like Edge turns heel, joins with Christian on the debut. The debut is a big enough moment. You won't be sending your crowd home like mad, like you would, I think, if Christian just straight up won and that's how the show ended. Even it would be like a good heel ending still, even though because it's just such a big moment. Edge is there. Whether he's a good guy or bad guy, that part doesn't matter. But if Darby wins, while I think a lot of the internet and fans would just be like groaning, and it would be kind of a deflating ending for us, the crowd would be hyped. So,
of course,
I'm very conflicted at what actually makes the most sense. But here's the point: the hometown hero doesn't have to win because I think we'll get to it more later, but I do think Swerve's winning.
I do. And Danielson's winning too.
And Danielson, yes. So. They all don't have to win. Like
they shouldn't. That's too much.
Nick Wayne not. I could see Nick Wayne be one that doesn't win, but I'd actually be shocked if Danielson doesn't win, and I'd still be pretty surprised if Swerve doesn't. It just feels like he's going.
I've got Swerve winning as well.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there.
But yeah. So I definitely think, and if this wasn't main event, I would have Christian's winning 100%.
I know the main event thing fucks me up too.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I'll go Christian.
Okay, we'll both go with
that's the hardest one I think by far. I mean, maybe I'm forgetting some stuff. Like maybe the other pre-show match might be weird, but yeah, I think the rest feel a little more predictable. But
yeah, and I feel like Christian technically just won the title. Like I know he's been claiming he's won the title.
Yeah, it's like, but does Tony care if Christian's official reign is recognized that long, or does he just want like Christian's name in that record book? I could see it just being the latter,
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah,
but he really likes Christian. But he really likes Darby too.
He loves Christian. Yes, that's true. But Christian's his favorite wrestler, bro. He main evented against Kenny Omega in a pay-per-view that most people were like, "Why the fuck is this even happening?" Until like about 2 weeks before the show, and then everyone was on board.
The Rampage match, yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. But hey, man,
that was crazy.
I don't know. It's a tough one, man. I really don't know who's win. My money is on Christian as well. That's who I want to win.
Yeah, actually, I would not bet on this match at all. That would be my.
No, I
had to pick one.
It's very difficult to already bet against Darby Allin. Period. He wins a lot, and in Seattle on top of that, it's tough one. But
his first main event, if he does main event, in Seattle, yeah, it's tough. Edge, like I'm saying, Edge would have to debut if he loses. I think for that live crowd.
Or something has to happen.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be Edge. We can get to something else later, but
what about Jungle Boy?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I would not be opposed to him returning in general.
I'm not even sure if he's gonna get booed though. That's the thing.
No, I think he still will. I think he will.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think enough people will actually associate the CM Punk stuff with it, other than they would just still enjoy booing him.
That's fair enough.
I don't think he built goodwill, and he still kind of looked like a bitch for all that anyway. Even if people like the outcome of them getting CM Punk out of there, if you want to look at it that way, he still looked like a bitch in the whole situation too.
Yeah,
for the most part.
It might be a very small portion that cheers this. The extremely smarky people.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we got? We going to go Danielson next?
Yeah, I would say because if the TNT title doesn't main event, it's got to be Danielson versus
Zack
Sabre, even though there's no titles or anything. I mean,
dream match.
That's the Zack Sabre. Like,
been waiting 2 years for this. Plus,
I mean, technically longer, but like since it was originally supposed to happen, actually supposed to happen.
Yeah, Forbidden Door 1.
It was never supposed to happen, because it's the whole thing. It's because Tony's like an observer, Mark and stuff. Since what is it, 2004, 2005, maybe 2003, I don't know. No one's won the Technical Wrestler Award other than these two.
Oh, really? It's always just those two guys, eh?
It was named after Bryan Danielson in 2011 because he won it so many times in a row. It just became the Bryan Danielson Award. And then Zack started winning it, maybe even before Danielson fully retired. And Zack won it all during the time Danielson retired, no contest, no close second. And then Danielson came back, and he's won it the last couple of years again. So yeah, it's that's the whole thing. It's who is the best
technical wrestler in the world. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
Specifically, it's what's Zack Sabre been saying? Submissions over Seattle, or submissions in Seattle.
Submissions in Seattle. That's right. Yeah.
Tony Khan marked for that himself when he heard it over on someone said it on that press call thing he did.
Of course he did. He's such a mark.
Yeah, he better make sure to credit Zack though. He actually said it first.
Man, that Zack promo last night was fantastic.
Oh,
fantastic!
Okay. I feel like we're probably both in agreement though. Danielson's probably winning this. I don't think he's gonna lose it in Seattle.
I honestly think Zack Sabre Jr. has 0 chances of winning.
Yeah,
0.
But okay, so let's make a little more interesting prediction then. How long do you think the match will go? Because if it was main event, I would have predicted 30 to 35. I don't think they don't need an hour or anything. The show has too many matches; it shouldn't, and they don't need it. So I'm not going to do.
So you could do 2 different things that would be interesting. I think it's going to go most likely 20, 22 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking 25. It's not main event.
It would be hilarious if Danielson beat him in 14 minutes and 55 seconds or something like that. And then
my god, for the TV title,
and then been I should have your title. I beat you in less than 15 minutes.
If Danielson would have mentioned the title or anything leading up to that, and they did that finish, I would love it.
They didn't, so I don't think they will. But it's just it's the thing that would pop me personally.
I forgot all about the title too, which is funny because he defends it a lot.
He didn't even bring it.
I know. That may be why I forgot about it in relation to this match. But no, also I just realized, I just thought about it too with AEW. The non-title matches traditionally are 30 minutes. So it could go 30-minute draw, I guess. I just don't really see if that really benefit anyone other than just say 30. But
I mean, it would benefit Sabre.
I think Danielson should just win. It would benefit the rematch necessarily, but do you have that in Japan? I don't know.
I mean, they can have the rematch in Japan regardless, even if Danielson wins. So that doesn't really matter to me.
They can't do it in England coming up or anything because Sabre's already booked against Ospreay. Because otherwise, I'd be oh, that'd be a great place to run it back. Because Danielson loves wrestling in England, and he did miss All In. So I mean, I know 6,000. It's not 70 turnstile count thousand, but it'd still be a nice makeup, if he could wrestle Zack there. But he's already booked, which I mean, Zack Ospreay's amazing. So I'm not even.
Absolutely. I mean, we can kind of get into a side note here about, since we're talking about Ospreay and Zack. I've seen some paranoia over, especially on the New Japan subs, that they think that Zack might get poached by AEW as well as.
I could see it. I could see.
You really could, okay.
He's been here a lot. He's been working Impact. He's been working New Japan America. He's been working a lot of Ring of Honor. Like a lot of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, and
So-
one could say as well that yes, this 15-minute title is nice and all, but they still couldn't put him over at the G1.
No.
I can't see him
It's
ever
like
getting.
They give him all these moments, but they never like actually give him like a big one. You know, he's won like the New Japan Cup to get title shots, which he's lost. You know, stuff like that. But
How long is he going to wait? I think you know what I mean, and I do think that like depending on what they want to do.
Well, also, what's his ceiling in AEW? Because I almost feel he actually has a similar ceiling in AEW too, but he probably make more money. So I would pick that. You know, in comparison, I'd still pick that.
I would say his ceiling in AEW is international champion or Ring of Honor world champion, which is better in my opinion than what he's won.
Better in the TV title, but he's also had. I feel like I could see New Japan are also giving him a United States title run too. It's just I just don't.
If they lose Ospreay, yes,
yeah, he's just never getting a world title.
I agree, and I know a lot of people want him to. I don't see it.
He could.
Me too.
Think he could,
but I don't think they will.
At all. But,
I don't think they will. I don't think they see it, unfortunately. And I think people do forget with Japan, like what we think as American fans is completely different than how they book stuff. Unfortunately,
that's true. Like the House of Torture is honestly over as fuck, and you look at all the data, it's like very clear. That's why they're still doing all this nonsense.
It's super over in Japan, but American fans fucking hate it.
It's legitimately making them money, as terrible as it is.
Yeah,
they're not making a lot of money. So,
and it's no different than when Okada was going over all the time, and American fans, like myself included, were like, "Oh my god, like this is nauseating." He's making money.
Maybe the American can win at Wrestle Kingdom this year, or the Canadian Kenny Omega.
Lol, no.
Or the Kiwi in Jay White's case. Like it's just the non-Japanese, the foreigner. Maybe the foreigner can win at Wrestle Kingdom this year. No.
It's never happening. It's never gonna. It's only gonna happen once, and when it happens, it's gonna be the biggest fucking deal.
Yeah.
But they're never gonna do. If Kenny Omega didn't do it, come on, like it's just not gonna happen. Like they book Wrestle Kingdom like very specifically.
I will say is eventually it definitely will. The tide will turn because like this year, especially, I've just noticed the foreigners seem so much more over with the Japanese audience.
Yeah, that's true.
It's nice, it's great. So definitely the tide seems to be turning, but that just how slow will the booking take after the fans' side turns? You know,
yeah,
they just instantly do what the fans want. You know, they're always behind.
Yeah, plus it's like are the fans into it, and is it making money though? Those are two different things too, right? They were, but
I will say less so in Japan because it does rely so much more on gate.
On the gate, yeah.
But that's true. So if the live crowd is into it, yes, more likely, more live people will want to come. There's usually more of a direct correlation there than like TV ratings and all that stuff. You know, pay-per-view buys.
Let's do like a slight pause on AEW because I want to talk. I haven't watched it yet, but I want to get your thoughts on it because you watched it. The Tsuji match, the Tsuji Ospreay match.
Oh yes, yeah, it was really good. I don't have a ton to say. Other like everything you've heard about it is true.
Yeah,
it was like,
I thought so.
27, 26 minutes, something like that. It wasn't like crazy long. It didn't go over the 30 that New Japan one do a lot. It started your typical slow build, and they started going, and I would say more of your typical Ospreay stuff, just crazy moves, counters, back to back. And Tsuji was just insane. It had one of the craziest endings like ever. Ospreay basically hit Tsuji with like a spear, you know, Tsuji's move. Because I think Tsuji hit Ospreay with like a Stormbreaker or something. You know.
Oh, interesting. Cool. Nice.
Yeah. And this is after they've already just done. So this is after it was already like an insane match, and I was already marking out. So he hits him with a spear, but then Tsuji kicks at one. You know,
loving the spot
with
now.
My own move. Yeah, you hit me with my own move. Yeah, he kicks at one, and he gets up, but he's like stumbling like really bad. But he starts walking down Ospreay, and Ospreay's like backing up, like kind of like holy fuck. This dude kicked at one, he just jumped up. But Tsuji's like wobbly leg while he's walking down Ospreay like a fucking zombie, basically. And so Will is just finally like, fuck it, and hits another like hidden blade, you know, to the standing Tsuji's face, kills him, and that's how the match ends. Like it was
that sounds amazing. Man.
Yeah. Like I think Meltzer probably put it best though. Of the last 40 years, this probably would have been match of the year in like 30 of them.
Yeah.
It might not be top 10 this year.
Which is insane. It's still a 5-star match, but yeah, like there's been so many good matches this year. It's been crazy.
Yeah, so good.
But that's really exciting to know. And I really do think that Tsuji's Susie might be world champion in 2024.
He needs to win the world championship next year, like 100%. I don't know how. Do whatever you got to do.
He's like a mix of like Naito and Tanahashi.
You got to push this guy right now. He's a machine.
And he's older than the other guys, right?
The charisma, I think he started later. I think he's already in his 30s and stuff. The charisma, the in-ring work, the move set, like in general, like it's just he does such cool moves. And I don't mean that like it's not just like a bunch of flips and stuff. Even though he does
the
Japanese
like the style.
Cool Undertaker dive, basically, like the big over the top rope, crazy Undertaker dive, big man dive,
Oh man, they got to put him up against Okada next, I think. See what he can do.
We can go back to AEW though. We can actually move on to the Ospreay match.
Yes,
which is a 6-man tag team match, which is the Don Callis family, which Ospreay does seem to officially be a part of, and all like the branding, which is very interesting. That just may not lead to anything, but who knows? It's interesting that it's official. But him and then the newest member, Sammy Guevara, and the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita, and they're against Chris Jericho and the Golden Lovers of Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega. It's pretty much a dream match in a lot of ways with a lot of the aspects. So,
and on top of that, like
to predict too.
And on top of that, they're having Kenny and Jericho like randomly tag on Saturday tonight as well.
Tonight, that's like the big draw for Collision to me.
That's my big draw for sure.
Almost drew me into watching it live over the No Mercy show.
I mean, it's the first time ever, right, that they tag. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, this match, I'm not even. Do you think there's a chance they might change it because of Ibushi being attacked? I don't think so, but there's like a small chance.
They might just have Ibushi do like a late run in, and he just not be involved in the whole match. It'd be more of a handicap style match.
Yo, Ibushi was laying in those strikes though. During that,
that was such a weird segment.
I loved it, but it was very.
This one's hard to predict though, because it's weird because it's basically like the two angles converging. The Kenny feud and the Jericho feud, both with Callis, and I feel like Jericho for his part of the angle. I feel like he kind of needs to lose. Like Sammy needs to get this win because Sammy lost the singles match, and so Sammy's team should get the win or something. But Kenny's lost 2 in a row in the feud, basically to Takeshita. And really,
he's lost a lot.
A main match losing streak. He's only got that like one win against Wheeler fucking Yuta. That everyone's just not counting anymore because it's cooler to say he's lost like so many matches in a row.
And even then, he was like 1-1 against Yuta because Yuta pinned him. Before
first
twice, I think.
So it's weird. So I feel like Kenny almost needs a win, but Jericho needs a loss. So maybe Jericho can just take the pin. But so that's kind of what I think is going to happen is the Don Callis family wins. That would be my prediction. But yeah, it's really weird because of the kind of the two feuds converging and both kind of needing different things at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I think that's kind of where I always go to when we have like 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 is like, who do I most likely see eating the pin? And it's
Sammy or Jericho to me.
That's maybe me
Kota.
too. But
maybe Kota, but I would doubt that. Yeah,
I don't think Kota takes the pin because I still think they want to try at the very least to do Kota Takeshita 1-on-1, and there's no way unless Takeshita pins him and like. Well, I mean, fuck. Yeah. I could also see Takeshita pinning Kenny a third fucking time, and
it wouldn't even surprise me too much, but that'd be insane to me.
I mean, I also could see. I would think it'd be very, very good if Guevara pinned Jericho.
That's kind of what I expect. Yeah,
that would be really big for Sammy, and I think as far as like moving the story forward, that would be fine because you can do something where like Takeshita and Ibushi, maybe they're fighting on the outside or something during the pin happens, and you can kind of like continue that feud. I'm not sure where Kenny goes next after this either, because like it's pretty evident that he's still feuding with Dawn and he wants to like beat up Dawn. And it's also obvious that this feud's not going to end here. It's just not. It's a 3-on-3, so why would it? So I'm not sure exactly where they're going to go with that and how. But you're right. At the same time, I do think Kenny needs like a win at some point to be like still in this feud. Because right now he's just been getting his ass kicked. He's lost everything.
He's very much on the back burner of everything. Even his big save on Jericho was on Rampage. Like, you know?
Yeah, and he's not really hanging around the Bucks anymore at all, or Hangman.
That's like fine. Like, I advocate for Rampage to have stuff like that. I'm not saying that part's like a negative necessarily. It should, but until like it happens more regularly, you're gonna like question, well, why was this part necessarily on Rampage? You know, instead of like one of the other two shows.
I mean, you're not wrong, and like
it's a perception thing, you know.
Kenny's been used at least out of the 4 elite guys in the last like month or so. There's no denying it. I understand some of it might have been just literally selling the losses to Takeshita, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he hasn't really done a lot of promos.
Have had more recent singles matches than Kenny. Like, what?
Yeah, that's wild, actually. I didn't even think about it that way. That's wild. I don't know if that means that maybe Kenny's banged up a little bit. And that's it could be that. Or it could just be that, like, Ibushi can't go singles right now, so doing
I don't know.
Doing trios with him kind of protects everybody involved as well to look a bit better. Could be a lot of things. It could just be a slow burn too, and it's just not like the priority for their angles right now.
I could definitely see that, yeah.
I'm not sure who's gonna win. I think I'm gonna go with Don Callis' family just because I think they can least afford the loss, but I don't know.
Very new, you know. Don's been building it for a while apparently, but this trio at least is very new. You know?
On the flip side, like I could see Sammy taking the pin, and it's not the end of the world. They could kind of like build some internal. They could do like some internal stuff.
The pin, though. Like he always takes the pin.
Yeah, but maybe you can do like Takeshita against him afterwards to kind of like put him back. But then he would take that. Then he would be losing that match too.
Honestly, I want to see Ospreay versus Sammy if they're going to do any like infighting.
They did tease that actually, so that's a great point for you to bring up because Ospreay, when he was in New Japan, like he cut like a kind of a promo, and he mentioned like, hey, like Sammy, like he slapped him or something, or speared him or something in the past. And he was like,
he hit him with a bat. It was
with a bat. There you go. So he's like, you need to apologize to me personally first. So I could see the family losing strictly off the like, can they coexist bullshit, and then they could kind of like build on that But then again, like that's building an angle where you're not even sure if like Ospreay's going to be around much longer to build that angle.
Yeah, very true.
There's a lot of layers to this. It's a tough one to call. But I think I'm going to go with Don Callis' family. I think is the likeliest to win.
Yeah. That's pretty much my thoughts too.
Okay. Write that down. It's going to be pretty much the same thing for like, except for one match the entire rundown. But that's okay.
Yeah, I know. I feel like, we're definitely on the same page, even on NXT. That's why.
Yeah. Let's go with. We're working our way down the card as opposed to up. So let's
pretty much. Yeah, pick your next highest profile match that you would imagine.
Probably Eddie Kingston Shibata. Honestly,
yeah,
that title match.
That's the two titles Eddie Kingston has is on the line, right? The New Japan Strong and the ROH World title. Wicked was like weirdly putting over like if Shibata wins, he would kind of have a modern Triple Crown style championship.
They mentioned it on Rampage last night too.
Like, Eddie can't lose this quickly. That'd be ridiculous. I'd be mad, honestly. As much as I like Shibata, I'd be mad. Eddie has to win. That's my prediction. There's no way.
The only way I can see Shibata losing is if Kingston is more injured than he's letting on. Yeah. But he wrestled last night, so why would he be wrestling like on Wednesday if he was like already banged up? I think he is booked for New Japan as champion still. I'm not 100% sure if he is.
The match is not official, but everything's pointing towards he's fighting Hinare and the Las Vegas show in October. It's like late October, I think. Yeah,
and they just announced another one in November, I think, too, right? Another
There's one
American
in November and in Dallas. Like I'll probably go to that one, and they also just announced San Jose in January.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah. I do think Kingston's winning, but the triple crown stuff, and they mentioned on Rampage last night, did give me a little bit of pause. I think it's just to add some intrigue. I could see it going no contest, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of or something like that. Because it's an awkward match because Shibata's also champion, but not putting his belt on the line. But like,
but him can't because the rules.
but him losing still makes him look like a worse champion. So I don't know.
think you want to do like the The thing, well then, okay, so Shibata could wrestle Kingston. They could even just do that on like ROH TV in a pure rules match for the pure title, and Shibata wins that one. They could do that.
Sure, if they're going to do 2 matches, they could do. I mean, they could run that back at Final Battle.
Sounds hilarious.
Sounds terrible. It's maybe not terrible, but very awkward. Because I mean, like half his offense is like pretty much like punches,
palm strikes.
Yeah, I mean it's chops. He can do the back fist with his hand open.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I think the match is gonna fucking rule though. Like, let's be honest. Mm-hmm. It could very well be like in the match of the night tier. If Danielson, actually, it's not even just Danielson. We'll talk about the hanger match after, because I think that could easily be, and the tag match too. Actually, there's a lot of shit on this card, but yeah, like there's not much to say about this match other than I think Eddie Kingston's going to win. I think it's going to be pretty violent. It's going to be a King's Road type of match, and it's going to fucking rule. It's pretty much all I have to say about it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm glad this match is booked. I think it'll be great.
Yeah, it's just one of those like wonderful dream matches that's just kind of there for us puro marks, I guess.
And for Eddie himself.
And for Eddie, yeah. I mean, like if you're an Eddie mark, you know this is like a dream match of his too. And it's just another thing he's gonna get to. You know what? I hope that Eddie wins and they just shake hands and then that's it. I think honestly that might just be the best, because
what's going to happen. Yeah.
I want to see them team together too at some point again. Maybe like in a tag or a trios. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think Shibata has much of a chance to win, so I think Eddie wins or it's a no contest, like time limit draw or something.
I think that would have to be 60 technically because it's a title match though.
Okay, it's not going to be that. It's not going to be that. That's ridiculous. There's no time for that on this card.
With those rules, they're just bad at actually announcing the times during the matches.
Yeah,
but they're consistent about what they have, what the limits are usually.
Yeah, yep. So it's going to be good though. I could see it being like in the mid. I could even see them open with it. Honestly, I could see them opening with that match, just to get the crowd hyped up on some strikes. And then I guess we'll go Chris Statlander versus Julia Hart, because that's a quick one and it's another title match. So I think we should kind of put it up.
Yeah, I think they've done a really good job building Julia for this, though. They've had
Excellent job. A lot
of matches, but she's performed well throughout it. So I think Chris is going to win, but I think Julia's definitely they've built her up really well throughout this. In the loss, she's going to come out better.
Yeah, it's her first pay-per-view match, I think, too. One-on-one.
Definitely has to be. I'm not even going to fact check that.
Yeah, I believe it is. And I haven't watched it yet. Like neither of us have watched
like a battle royal. I will.
No. I'm talking about a straight up one-on-one pay-per-view match. Apparently there's a really, really, really good video package on the like the go home thing that they did, like the preview show. Me neither, unfortunately. I will watch it afterwards. I've heard some really good things about it. Mm-hmm. I think there's like a 5% chance that Julia wins, and I think that like at the beginning of the week it was like a 0. I would put it at 5.
I think Tony really likes her, so that's why I could see the title change happening. Honestly,
yeah, and I do think that Chris Statlander is somewhat spinning her wheels right now. And as far as this is a feud, but I feel like she hasn't been the most important part of this feud. I feel like Julia has.
More Julia,
yeah, which is fine. I think Julia needs it, but like that makes me think that I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with Chris. Maybe they're waiting for something. I don't know. Which is why I would give the 5% chance to Julia to win. I do think most likely Chris is just going to beat her up, but it's not going to. I don't think it's going to be like a squash or anything like that. I think Julia's going to look really strong.
It'll be fun. Yeah,
and I think that especially the match with Willow that they had on Dynamite was a really effective way to see the path to how Julia could win by beating some.
I think she's gotten pretty good in the ring. Honestly,
she has. So, she's really good, and
Chris has been good for a while. So,
of course, Chris is awesome.
We're going to have a really good match.
Yeah, and because they made Julia believably beat Willow, which is a bigger competitor, by using like her being smarter and like cunning and using Brody King. I think that was really smart, and that actually adds some doubt, which is something that maybe they haven't done so well in the past in certain other matches where you're like, oh well, this person has no chance. Now I'm like 95% sure Chris is winning, but because they done all that work, now doesn't feel like a random match like it did like 2 weeks ago when they announced it.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Yeah. So Chris is going to most likely win, but yeah, it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait for the entrances. I think the entrances are going to be awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Julia's pay-per-view entrance for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be badass, and I'm curious to see what new gimmick Chris is going to do, because she did the like, what's it called, the other gimmick at All Out there, where she dressed up in polka dots.
Yeah.
For that other movie, I forget the movie, but anyways, it should be fun.
I cannot remember either.
Zoolander.
Zoolander at the time. Yeah, Zoolander. Yes.
So that was some good shit. We'll go to the tag match next, because I think that one
AEW or the ROH one.
The AEW one. The MJF. We'll keep the MJF one. We'll keep the MJF stuff actually for last, because there's like a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
FTR against Aussie Open. I think Aussie Open might have a chance here.
Yeah, I actually would not be too surprised if they did. I'm not picking them. I'm still picking FTR. But I think I could just see it. This is how Tony wants to just establish them. They go over FTR, and then they just keep having, crazy good matches every week. And bam, you have, your best tag team right there.
Yeah. So I'll start with a complaint that we both complained about last week. Why the hell did they have Aussie Open lose to Chris and Sammy Guevara when Sammy and Chris were going to split up anyways?
Yeah,
stupid.
No sense.
I hate to like use the words, but it was very like old WWE crap booking.
It definitely felt like they didn't have the full like Chris and Sammy stuff planned.
That's possible. Yeah, you might be right on that.
At that time, they were going to get a tag title shot before they ever split.
Yeah, it did. And if the thing though is like they obviously had FTR Aussie Open planned for this pay-per-view. So I think it was a mistake to make them lose, unless
I actually forgot that even happened already too.
Unless Aussie Open is winning and all of this was like some weird like way to make you think that they were like kind of like crap, and then they went out of nowhere and it's shocking, and it's like actually no, we were just kind of like in a downfall. Now we're going to be like the best for a long time, which I could see. I don't know if it was super effectively done, but because it kind of did sound a bit like that just by the way Aussie cut their promo yesterday. Because they kind of mentioned that they lost some matches and they were kind of like not at their best, but now they are at their best, and they want to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, and they keep bringing up the match they had last year,
which they lost.
The Royal Quest show. Yeah, that was for like FTR's IWGP tag titles at the time.
Yeah, and they were like
insane, like one of the best matches of the year. It's so good. So
yeah,
I'm shocked. This one, I honestly don't think it will be better, because that one was so good. And it was like a bloodbath. Dax was like bleeding buckets. I don't think they're gonna do all that again.
Plus the British crowd.
God, yeah, it was so good.
I mean, I agree and disagree. I agree with you because that match was very, very special and amazing. I disagree because we said that after the first FTR Briscoes match, and then they did it twice more.
Yeah.
And they did it better. I would argue each match was better than the last one.
Yeah.
FTR is just that fucking good. So who knows? But yeah, this is a really interesting one. I'm actually, I'll take the bullet on this one. I'll risk it. And I'll put the money down on Aussie Open winning, because I do think I think Aussie it's time for them to do something, and I think it's time for FTR to do something different.
I think the only reason I'm not picking them is just because of their weird booking like last month or so.
Yeah, that's totally fair. They could run it back.
Yeah, it kind of does feel like it, but I don't know. And like I kind of thought FTR was going to lose more often recently, and they just keep winning. And so I thought, I think at this point they're going to keep winning.
I thought FTR were going to lose it all in. So
definitely going to be a great match. And I'm fine with either outcome. So those are my favorite kind of matches.
Yeah, man. Like, it's going to be absolutely insane. I don't even know how they're going to get to the finish, because they're so creative. Both teams are really good at getting their finish. And I think it's The Dax against Dungzilla Chop Fest alone, it has me salivating.
Oh my god.
That's gonna be some mean stuff. Let's go to Hangman Swerve, which might actually be one of my favorite angles going into this pay-per-view, if I'm being quite honest.
A lot of people thought, since it main evented Dynamite, that it was actually being considered for a main event of the
I would have been fine with it. And it would have been good for both guys, especially like Swerve winning in the main event would have been huge. I can see why it's not, just because like there's so many things that could main event. Like honestly, I could make the argument for FTR Aussie Open to main event. I really could. Yeah. So this one is fun though. I think Swerve is winning, but I could make an argument for both easily.
Yeah. When the feud first started, I thought Hangman was for sure like winning probably the match they were going to have, at least the first one. But then just as it's gone on, especially with this one being in Seattle, like I think and Swerve's going to get cheered. We should probably talk about that too. I think Hangman's going to just get straight up booed. I think it's going to be a completely flipped crowd. I think as the match goes on, you'll probably get some Hangman fans like come through.
Sure.
I think overall it's going to be just such a pro Swerve crowd, and I think just let him win this one, and Hangman can maybe get a win back later. But for this match, like I think it'd be crazy if Hangman won it. Like you're trying to get him back over as a babyface, having him win and getting a ton of boos probably isn't the best way to do that. You can just have him lose. And
that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Places,
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. I didn't even think about the crowd aspect. Actually, I also think that like Hangman, I think might be better off losing for his character. I think him going down a darker road again I think it's been long enough that it's time to run that back. Him having some doubts and maybe climbing his way back from the bottom of the card again and being motivated to do so. Because if he wins, is that really that much motivation to keep going? Like he proved the guy wrong, and then now what? Whereas if he loses, I think it's better off for both guys. I think story-wise, especially, it allows Swerve to actually go into the main event, which he desperately fucking needs to be in the main event. Because I want to see him against MJF. I want to see him. I know he's injured now, but I would have loved to see him against Cole. I think that would have been a great feud. I'd love to see him even against Omega. That would be different. And I think that's what's the main thing about this specific feud too, is that it's different. It's something we haven't seen before, which is what excites me the most about it, actually. Because like when they first came out against each other, I was like, oh, like this is something I didn't expect, but it's also something that like they've never done before. I was
not expecting Swerve at all. I was actually expecting Jay White, I think.
Yeah, that would have made sense.
It's kind of funny. I was expecting someone like new, like for Hangman, like kind of out of left field and kind of at same level, of like budgeting but not quite main eventer. But they went with Swerve instead. And I was like, oh, that might be better.
Yeah. I think so, and I think regarding Swerve too, like he's lost too many of these feuds. Where I think if he loses this one, like it's hard to start taking him seriously. So I think he has to win this feud.
Yep, I agree.
All right, so we both agree on that. That's fair enough.
Yeah, Swerve should definitely win that one.
Swervey, I think it's going to be it might be match of the night. I know I've said that a few times, but like I can see them like
there's so many good matches on this card. Because like I was just looking at it again to see what we had left, and we can talk about this one next too, because it's going to be such an insane match. But I think it's like overlooked because because of everything else booked. But it's a tag team title #1 contenders match.
This match is nuts.
Tag titles, yeah. It's the Young Bucks against the Lucha Brothers against the Guns against the non-brother team of Orange Cassidy and Hook. Like what is that match?
First of all, I changed my mind. I think that should open. Because I think like that's going to be the craziest match.
Yeah, that's a good match to open.
Man, picking a winner in this match is rough.
The #1 contender, excuse me, aspect is weird. Because I don't know if it's Aussie Open or FTR. If it's FTR, that actually rules out a lot.
It rules out the Bucks.
The Bucks. They fought the Guns too many times. Orange Cassidy and Hook would be fun for a short program. I wouldn't be opposed to that. And I don't believe we've gotten FTR Lucha Bros, at least not very recently if we have. So that would also be fun.
If we have, I can't remember it, actually. That's a great point.
Yeah, so I'm thinking Lucha Bros win this one, though, which is funny because I have the betting odds pulled up, and they're the least favorite.
Least favorite.
The Bucks are the favorites.
That doesn't surprise me.
If Aussie Open wins, Aussie Open Bucks, it sounds amazing, and I'd be more than happy with that.
See,
they haven't specified too. By the way, the winner will probably, though, if I had to guess, get the title shot on the October 10th, I think, Dynamite.
Title Tuesday. Title Tuesday. The night they go against NXT.
The winner will get the title shot then. So I'm penciling in whoever wins getting the title shot then. And I think Lucha Bros FTR would be great for that. But if Aussie Open wins, it could be any of these teams.
See, now I'm thinking which one has the best star power, but I can make an argument for a lot of those teams. I can make an argument for OC Hook alone for that.
Especially for a very short-term title program, would make a lot of sense because you're not going to keep them as a team forever, but you want to get something out of it while you do.
Because that's who I had. I honestly think it's going to be OC Hook, regardless of who wins. Regardless of who wins the titles.
OC and Hook or Lucha Bros, yeah.
Because I think that's the funnest match. I mean, Lucha Bros and Young Bucks, like, they don't need to win this match. Doesn't matter. Like, they will not be hurt whatsoever.
Like, Phoenix is not defending on Title Tuesday as of now. He's defending on the next Tuesday against Nick, or no, next Wednesday against Nick. No, on the anniversary show, which is not Title Tuesday.
Yeah, honestly, the only team I would rule out is the Guns. I really don't think the Guns are winning regardless because they're not going up against FTR again. And Guns versus Aussie Open makes no sense to me, at least. Yeah. It makes no sense.
But official prediction for me, though, I think I'm going Lucha Bros.
You're going to go Lucha Bros?
Yeah, The only thing really making me weary about that is like Phoenix seems really banged up, so maybe not.
I'll take OC Hook. And that would
be my second choice.
And then the Bucks are going to win and we're both going to be wrong. The most likely was going to happen.
I would not be surprised at all.
But I don't know. With the Bucks going their singles route, that also makes me think they're going to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
But it could have just been like just interesting booking. Either way, I love that, by the way. Do more of this AEW. More Nick Jackson, and honestly, more Matt Jackson singles too.
I'd be fine if it was booked a little bit more in advance, but I kind of get why it wasn't this week. But Nick, that was a great
Nick is so good.
What we booked on that stuff, yeah.
Okay, I love Nick.
Funny, we had like barely any of it going in.
Well, we'll go through the other ones fairly quickly because we're a little over time, but that's okay.
Yeah, no problem. Because then we'll spend some more time on the MJF stuff. Because I don't think I have a lot to add about the rest. If you just want,
I mean, Ricky Starks
Starks
against Wheeler. Ricky's gonna beat that ass. He's gonna beat that ass.
Supposed to talk about it. I don't understand why this is on pay-per-view. Honestly, I get to give Ricky a win, which that part I'm fine with, but this is weird.
The only thing I will say about it,
honestly,
it could be what I think they're trying to sell here is that they're still trying to recruit Ricky into Blackpool Combat Club. That's what I think. Apparently not, though, because they had Moxley.
Was supposed to be defending it someone from out of AEW.
Oh, well, I can tell you who it is, and you're going to be mad.
Oh,
it's your boy that got screwed already last Forbidden Door 2.
Tom Waller.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry to break your heart.
He was so mad on the show yesterday.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Furious.
It's the second time it happened to him on an AEW pay-per-view.
Just give him a pure title or something. Let him beat Shibata.
I felt terrible. I was like, "Are you?"
He's getting pretty fucked by New Japan too. I don't think they're bringing him in because of their cost issues.
Maybe, he should just sign with ROH or something. I don't know, man. I felt terrible. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah, apparently he was backstage, like ready to come out. Apparently he was ready to come out after the Phoenix Mox match.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But then they had to change everything on the fly. Brutal.
And I could see, they're still kind of trying to recruit Ricky, so who knows what happens there.
And then there's what's the other one? The Acclaimed one? That's the last one?
Yeah, there's two pre-show matches. So the Acclaimed are defending against the TMDK team on the pre-show. That's Mikey Nichols, Shane Hayes, and Bad Dude Tito. So that'll be fun. That's fun for pre-show. I have no problem with that.
Acclaimed they're beating that ass, obviously.
Yeah, and then Nick Wayne versus Luchasaurus, which is more of an angle match. But that's also in pre-show. But that's awesome for Nick.
It is. I think Nick is getting fucking killed, though.
He's favored for the betting odds, apparently. But yeah, that was when he first challenged.
I could be wrong.
God, he's gonna get fucking murdered.
I could be completely wrong, and the odds are right. But like, I don't see him winning whatsoever.
I hope he wins. It'd be awesome. But it just seems weird. Luchasaurus was pushed pretty hard. He was just the TNT champion.
That's the thing too.
Because they have
back-to-back losses.
They've not given Nick these big wins. They're definitely building Nick slowly, but just keeping featured, which is fine.
If it wasn't on the pre-show, I could see like some some long-term fuckery where Christian kind of like fucks over Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne turns, because I do think Nick Wayne is turning eventually. I think that's a long-term plan,
yeah.
but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be tonight. And if it is going to be tomorrow night, rather, he's going to help Christian retain somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
But that's pretty much all I have to say about that. And then the Acclaim, they're winning. And then we'll go to the MJF stuff because it ties into some of the weird mystery angle, which is what everybody's talking about, really, as far as AEW angles. Like, everybody wants to know who those guys were. So we know
the only thing. So first we can talk about the match. So right now it's MJF and a handicap match against the Righteous.
Yeah.
Do you think that will stay the actual match that ends up happening regardless of what finish happens? Like, or will there be some partner that is official, tags in, gets credited in the match, on cage match, all the nonsense?
I'm still team MJF and Roddy, baby. Like, that's still what I want.
Yes,
I want it.
Too. That's what I want so bad.
Whether I think it's going to happen, I would say 51%.
I had a great idea. So what happens is Roddy does team up with MJF. They become the ROH Tag Team Champions. The thing is, both of them are doing it for Cole. They both say they're defending the titles for Cole while Cole is injured because they mean so much to Adam Cole. Remember, that's the whole thing. He wanted to win the ROH title.
That's right. Yeah.
And so they both say they're defending for Cole. And it just becomes a thing that, like, then maybe when Cole is closer to getting back, which I know it's going to be a while, it's like they're fighting over who actually gets to be Cole's partner when he comes back. Because they're like, no, I'm the champion. That'd be so odd. That's like definitely a different theory that doesn't really work with like the end of Dynamite, like we'll talk about as much. But if they were just kind of continue with how they were going at the angle before, before any of this Jay White involvement, that was something I was kind of wanted to happen.
I think it would work if MJF was the one to turn heel in the long term. Then it could work. Because them swerving and having MJF control the kingdom, that would be like, that'd be dirty.
So I do want to comment, like, because I posted it, like, one of those guys was 100% Roderick Strong. We shouldn't necessarily go by that. Yes, because he had a fucking nut brace on. We shouldn't necessarily go by that because they could be anyone. They were under mask. It doesn't have to be, whoever's under the mask that actually attacked Jay White does not have to be who it's revealed it eventually was.
They can change it every week.
A million times, yeah. But that one was definitely Roderick Strong. So I think it's meant to be the kingdom. For sure. But there are more people. So, yeah.
There's 5 of them total.
You're meant to think one is MJF. But I think it's obvious that was not MJF. And that's like a clear red herring. That maybe you're not even meant to think it's MJF. Maybe you're meant to think that person wants you to think it's MJF, but it's so obvious it's not. And I think that is kind of what it is. I don't think anyone actually thinks it's MJF, and I don't think they actually thought you would, But yeah, so that's really interesting. They can go a lot of different ways. I've just seen a million theories. I don't even want to like get into like all of them because there's so many.
There's a lot.
Who it could be and how it could play out and who turns heel. I've even heard one of where MJF and Adam Cole are actually both behind it and they're faking the teases of either turning just to swerve you. They know because someone made a point about like, remember they did the whole thing about Cole wasn't worried about MJF watching back the show because he doesn't. So that's why Cole was like, didn't care about talking about MJF before behind his back. But like MJF is doing stuff behind Cole's back. Well, Cole does rewatch the shows. That's like established,
It's established. That's right.
So it kind of doesn't make sense unless either A, Cole is playing him. So he's using everything he's seeing anyway against Max already, which is that part's fine. That works with the Cole turning heel theory. Or they're just both in on it. So I kind of like that.
They could be.
Too. Yeah.
And like
they basically do a whole 2-man heel power trip again, like Austin and Triple H did.
Yeah, and they did a good job of like making you think Cole might be involved because he left with the Kingdom and left MJF alone against Jay White.
Yeah, and apparently one of those guys didn't get physical. The Devil Mask person definitely didn't get physical.
You just grabbed the camera.
They have actually been a woman. Like they're saying it kind of looked like it was like woman,
Britt.
build and stuff. Yeah, I've heard Britt. I've heard who was the other one I heard that was hilarious. Britt was like a good one. Mercedes was like Britt would make sense in angle wise, obviously.
Mercedes Moné, that'd be random.
Mercedes Moné,
why?
Yeah.
she's got a feud with Jay White.
Yes.
Oh, but yeah, so they did a really good job, and like you said, it doesn't. We can analyze the silhouettes, but like I would love it if we analyze the silhouettes, and then next week they do it again, but use completely different different people behind the mask just to fuck with you and be like, oh man, because one of the good theories is like that could be how Wardlow returns. which is interesting because he has but then there's so many little like mini feuds that exist in AEW lore.
Yeah.
So yeah, because the whole thing is it could be LFI too, and Andrade cut a promo, but then
I've even heard CM Punk.
That's shit stupid, and stop saying that. Not you, by the way. I'm not saying you.
Yeah, not retired, fired. But...
Yeah, like people know.
There's no way.
Stop.
There's no way the firing was a work. At least I will go this far. I wouldn't necessarily be the most shocked ever if Tony did bring him back eventually, because he seems like he's such a mark for CM Punk. I could just see him being. Maybe it'll be better this time, like that mentality. He shouldn't, but
no, yeah, I'm with you on that.
Fired. This will not be CM Punk.
No. I'm with you on the fact that I am not going to close the door on CM Punk ever returning back to AEW. I don't think that's impossible. I would even say that like there's probably just as much of a chance of him coming back to AEW as him signing with WWE. Maybe a bit higher, maybe a higher percentage on WWE, but not that much, I don't think, because he's got a lot of heat there too. So, but either way, yeah, it's not fucking CM Punk on this angle. That would be, first of all, stupid because that doesn't relate to anything. And I don't know. You could even throw the Elite in there to a certain degree. At the very least, Hangman, because Hangman's got some heat with Jay White 100%. So yeah, from their FD1 match. So there's all that. But it's going to be interesting, and I'm very interested, like you said, to see, is it going to be actually a handicap? Is Roddy going to help? Is it going to be a tag match? I do think MJF is going over regardless, because I don't think it's time for him to drop those belts yet.
Yeah. He can't go on that big spill about wanting to keep the belts for Cole and then lose a week later. I mean, I don't think he should just solo the Righteous himself. They have to have some fuckery if he's going to go over, but he's keeping those titles.
Unless specifically the Bullet Club like literally fucks him up and fucks him out of the titles. That's the only way I can see him losing. And the Righteous would not be a terrible choice for ROH champion. It would be fine.
It would just put the titles back on ROH mostly is what that would.
Yeah. But I still, just because of what I think they're doing with ROH as well right now, I don't see MJF dropping that belt yet, because I think they're trying to put ROH on Max along with AEW. That's my theory, at least.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. I think we can wrap it up there. I think we got through all of it.
Yeah, it was good. 2 good shows to watch tonight and tomorrow, and then along with Collision too. So really 3, because I think Collision will be pretty good too.
Yeah, I think it will be. Is there any other shows this weekend other than those 2? I don't think there is any big ones.
GCW is still doing overseas. I think they're in England, Japan, or something. They've been doing a big overseas tour. They got that stuff, but there's no like Impact or MLW or even New Japan. I don't think, unless they're doing stuff. I think New Japan's next tour show is not even this Monday, but I think the next one, not tour, but the more of a major show, the one with Sonata and Evil.
Okay. So
that's kind of a little bit of a break, I say break, but there's still a major NXT and AEW shows this weekend, but not a lot of smaller ones, I guess.
So next week we'll get into we'll do a preview for Fastlane. Mm-hmm. We will talk about Title Tuesday, because that'll be like 4 days after that. So that's probably going to be something we're going to be talking about, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I think Impact BFG is coming up shortly too, in a couple of weeks after that.
Yes, BFG is October 21st. We
actually so we have a few weeks. Okay, we'll have
the New Japan Royal Quest show is actually it looks like a week before that. So
might preview that a little bit too then.
Yeah, that's the one with Sabre, Ospreay, and Officer. They have like 4 or 5 matches now, so they'll probably have a full card by next week though.
Yeah, great. All right, well, we'll definitely get into that the next week as well. It's going to be a busy month. It's going to be a busy month.
Yeah.
All right, well,
November for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for everybody who tuned in, and thank you, Chris, as always, for the good chat.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers, guys.